My people, they can't fear when they for Africa now. Because of this protest when Kenya do. No be smart, you know. A lot of African people, African leaders will be say they very corrupt. Like Nigeria. They say these people they on central because they don't know what the youth have in stock for them. I say, this problem will not one cause for Africa. So all these greedy leaders will be saying, I want loot everything, including our future. This problem, when it go finally start, it go be like general beating. It go happen for Kenya, it go happen for Nigeria, it go happen for Cameroon. Since we no one stabilize our economy and stabilize our countries, it go do nananya. I realize this thing now from the interview with the former president of Nigeria, will be Olusegun Obasanjo. I go want make una watch this video with me, make una hear waiting in talk during an interview. In is this not Kenya? Mona just here. Obasanjo supporting Raila Aucha bid.
Look, you've seen the Gen Z wave sweeping across the continent. You've seen what it's done in Kenya. Can you see it? Is it happening across the continent?
Well, some of us have sounded warning about this. And all over Africa, we are all sitting on a keg of gunpowder. Okay. Because the youth, and there's virtually no exception in Africa where the youth are not angry. They are unemployed. They are unempowered. And they see nothing other than hopelessness. And in a situation like that, what you have from frustrated youth is anger. And when they have no hope, and if you really want to kill any human being, take hope out of his life.
Yeah.
And that is what is happening.
And they have nothing to lose.
And they have, well, if you have nothing to gain, you are jobless, you are not empowered, you are in poverty. And then you see your leaders, some of them in obscene affluence. Then what do you do? You are a human being, and the resources of your country is provided for that country by God for the benefit of all the citizens of that country.
Absolutely. I remember in 2011 when the Arab Spring was sweeping across North Africa, and then you came to Kenya a couple of years later, and we were talking about that, and then you coined a phrase that I remember all to this day. You said, from the Arab Spring, there will be an African winter. Is this what's happening?
It's the beginning. And if no adequate attention is paid to the needs of the youth in Africa, the autumn will turn to winter.
And it'll be ugly.
It will be very ugly for all of us.
Tell me something, Mr. President. You seem to be like the peacemaker on the continent. Whenever there's a conflict, you show up. What is it about this democracy or multipartism that we don't get?
I believe that, of course, when the colonial powers were leaving Africa, as they had to leave, they gave us or left us with what they know best: Western liberal democracy. My belief is that we have to rethink Western liberal democracy because it doesn't seem to be working for us. You see, you have as part of Western liberal democracy what they call loyal opposition. I have looked into most African languages. opposition is enemy. And what do you do with enemy? You cannot talk of a loyal enemy. Now, that is what they had, because their liberal democracy emanated from monarchy. And of course, you can be loyal to monarchy. But in our own case, opposition is enemy. And what you do is crush your enemy. And so we have to rethink commonality, consensus. These are things that we understand and we practice in traditional African society.
But Mr. President, in your country, in Nigeria, a country of more than 200 million people, democracy seems to be working. You have like two major parties. You have People's Democratic Party, PDP, and you have Alliance for Democracy, AD. And they keep switching back and forth, back and forth. But here in Kenya, we have briefcase parties. They change every 5 years.
Even Nigeria, I don't think you got it right, with all due respect. For democracy, if what you are talking about of democracy is just election and going to vote every 4 years or every 5 years, to me that is not democracy. That is just one symbol of democracy. For me, democracy must be able to deliver what I call the dividend of democracy. And it does appear that in Africa, the dividend of democracy is not being delivered. So we have to then go back to the drawing board and say to ourselves, well, we are not getting what we should get, so what should we do about it? I call it, should we look at something? It's true, it will still be democratic, but should we look at something that has African content in it? African context and African content.
Speaking of which, you were there at the advent of NEPAD,
yes.
New Economic